Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast. And here's your heads up. When is it good to not forget an old memory? One of those ones that are not nice, because we always say to ourselves, I wish I could just forget about that. Let it go. Well, you can, but not until. Not until what, Cluffy? I'm going to tell you. I'll go and give you loads of examples and things to do before we let go of those memories. Because when we've learnt from them, then they can just disappear. But until then, well, it seems they just hang around. And let's get rid of them together.
Warning.
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 Warning. You are entering into the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. Too late. Personal Development Unplugged.
Hey, my friend, we're back again. And we all have our own stories, don't we? What are you talking about, Cluffy? Well, I'm talking about we all have stories about our past, events in our past where we'd really like to just let them go. You know, there's times when we've maybe drank too much or we've been fearful. Something has affected us. You know, there may be some real significant emotional events that we'd just like to let go of. Now, when is it good not to forget? That's the title of this. When is it good not to forget? Because you really want to forget them, don't you? Forget those times. They're easy to remember because they're negative. And if they're highly negative or highly emotional in that negative vibe, they're easy to remember. They come to mind just like that. So I just thought it'd be good to have a chat about, well, should you forget them? Because I don't work that way. When I work with a client, I don't want them to forget the memory. I really don't want them to forget the memory at all. You see, every emotional reaction that we have, certainly a negative emotion, we tend to want to change everything about it. Absolutely everything, don't we? We want to throw everything about that because it's blooming painful. When you think about it, you think, it's so bad. Or it was. See, did you see what I just did then? It's so bad. Present tense about the past. And therefore we then I'll say that a bit more clearer. We tend to get to live it again. And we just want to let it go. It's totally natural. I understand that. Oh, you might say, well, if you understand that, Cluffy, why don't you want your clients to let it go and just forget about it? Well, I said I understand it. It's totally natural, but I do believe it's wrong. Now, you're probably saying to me, wrong? What are you talking about? If something is negative, highly negative, I need to forget it. Now, here's the thing. It's a chat. Let's just talk about it. Let's examine why it's still there. That's the first thing I'd like to think about. Why is that memory charged with a negative emotion? Why is it still charged? Because there will be times in your life where when you look back, think back, listen back, feel back, you go, yeah, that was a terrible time in the past. And the words are past tense, was a terrible time in the past. It's back there if your past is in the back. Mine is back in the past. It was a terrible time. I can remember it, but it's pretty small, pretty black and white, maybe even sepia grey. Doesn't have that emotional charge. So, if you can have negative memories like that, how come you still got those other ones? Well, this is what I think. It's because there's a positive intention still having that negative charge, that negative emotion. What's that, Cluffy? I'm asking you a lot of questions on your behalf, aren't I? Well, I think it's because we still haven't learnt from it. Because when we learn from that event, then unconsciously we do not need that negative emotion. So in effect, that negative emotion is that alarm, the warning, because we haven't got all the learnings from that event. Now, let me give you an example. Of that. Because, just for example, if someone had gone out, maybe late at night, because we wouldn't do that, would we normally? Go late out at night by ourselves and maybe go into one of those places which are a bit dark and dingy, maybe an underpass or something like that. And it's the early hours of the morning and they get beaten up, they get robbed, they get mugged or whatever. Now, they go home. They get themselves better. But now they're frightened because they've got that emotion, that negative emotion, that fear that's stopping them doing that again. And that fear then builds and builds and builds. And they start to get agoraphobic maybe, or agoraphobic, whichever your pronunciation. And then they won't go outside, maybe in the daytime, because now their confidence is gone. Their self-esteem is now at such a low level that things aren't happening. Then they start to get lonely. Then all these things happen. Now, you could say, good hypnotist, which we can, is I'm going to make that memory disappear completely. That's really forgetting, isn't it? When it's gone completely out of your timeline of the past. We go, in effect, pluck it out. We paste over it, whatever it is. You would not be able to remember it. You'd forget it. And now some people say, well, that's be awesome, Paul, because now I can no longer remember that horrible, horrible time. So guess what? If we'd have done that, under hypnosis, forget everything about that memory, that it never, ever happened. And then you go, right, you're done. And they go, can you think of that? Anything about that fear? No, I haven't got any fear, Paul. Don't know what you're talking about. No, not at all. Not at all. Then what happens? What do? Maybe they go out again late at night because they haven't got that memory to frighten them, the positive intention, the fear to stop them doing that. They haven't got the learnings from that blooming memory to guide them, to tell them what to do. Because what would the learnings be? Have a think. If we got their unconscious mind, instead of using the fear to stop them doing it again, said, what can you learn from that event? The learnings of which would allow you to be different, to be able to go out and feel comfortable and be safe. That's the main thing, be safe. And you could say, well, the learnings could be, don't go out at night alone. Tell people where you're going. Do not go down an underpass. Get a cab. Get a bus. Get anything and everything. But don't go out there by yourself. Think about it. Maybe plan a different thing. Buy things early. Don't go late. There's so many wonderful things you could have done instead. Now, if you took those learnings from that event, then why would you need the fear? And your unconscious mind goes, well, I don't need the fear anymore because we've got all the learnings, and that would keep us even safer because now that conflict has kicked in, hasn't it? Because if you're fearful about going out, then the whole point is to keep you safe. And when you're fearful, when you're scared, then you don't feel safe at all, do you? So if that's the case, massive conflict. So that's when we say to the unconscious mind, it's not working anymore. Intention, great, keep you safe. Making you feel unsafe doesn't work. Let's learn. And that would be a process. And when you learn or you work with that process with a good hypnotherapist, an NLP hypnotist, timeline therapist, you get it. So now you can see why those emotions were trying to protect us. And when we learn and use those learnings, then the unconscious mind will now go and find new ways to keep you safe. Now, the thing about that is those learnings will begin to generalize themselves into different areas of your life. As you know, we talk about the ripples of change going further and wider than we could ever imagine. And so when you get those learnings and start to get that self-confidence of doing things right safely, you tend to use those same learnings elsewhere. So effectively, we're just getting the unconscious mind to recognize that conflict. Understand that we're not taking that positive intention away. And I think that's the biggest thing. That's why it's not good to just forget these things, because we want the intention, don't we? When it's now appropriate. I've got a couple of stories for you. Got a couple of stories where things just didn't work out, and the intent, it's all about positive intention of how the unconscious mind really tries hard to do something for you. A long time ago, I was working with this lady and she was having a panic attack every time she drove around about 8 miles away from her home. And she said, I don't know what it is, Paul. Every time I go, all of a sudden I get to that 7 or 8 miles and I start getting a panic attack. What's happening? I just can't do it. And we explored that feeling. We explored the feeling and got back to the root cause. Now, the root cause was that her mother was, well, she was suffering from, mental health issues anyway. And when she used to go out shopping, they were never quite sure whether she'd be back in half an hour, or sometimes she didn't return for a couple of days because she would just disappear. And they felt this is destroying the family unit, and the family unit and the strength of that was one of their highest values. And she wanted to keep the family unit together. So the positive intention was, I've got all the worry of this young child with my mother disappearing. Now, I want to make sure that my family doesn't worry about me. I'm a mum, and I want to keep my family together. The one issue was, because that's a lovely intention, isn't it? Lovely intention from your unconscious mind saying, let's really honour this highest value, or one of the highest values that we have, about the family, keeping family together. Well, her family had now flown the nest. In a nice way. They got married. They were having children. And guess where they lived? More than 8 miles away. And it was like a big aha moment was, what's the positive intention? Well, the positive intention is to keep the family together, and we don't want you as mum leaving the home. Well, she had to leave home to see the family, to keep the family together. And it was that aha moment saying, now I've learned that keeping the family together is making sure mum and children stay connected, to be together, and those grandchildren. And it was there for a tiny little process, making sure the unconscious mind knew what it was trying to do and find a better way. That was the process, finding better ways that serves that intention. Boom. She could drive like a driver, but she just thought it was a phobia of panic attacks. And if you'd have done a process just on phobias, it would not have worked because we weren't honouring that intention. And on a similar vein, a man came to see me and said, I've got this flying phobia and I want to fly my family to Italy because I want to take my family back to my original home, my childhood home, to see the grandparents and things, because all my family is still there. I'm in England with my family, but everyone else is back in Italy. And I can't get on a plane, and it's destroying me because I'm literally now the head of the family. And how can I be head of the family without being able to go and be with my family, all of them together? And when we started to look at this a little deeper, the feelings he had of that fear of flying was also the same as, but not quite as much, when he was in the tube or the subway. And I said, what happens then? Well, I'm quite a long way away from home. I'm going out to work and I'm moving away and I'm getting those feelings again. And we looked at those feelings. We stopped and paused and asked the unconscious mind, what is the root cause of this? What are you trying to do? And in fact, the memory suddenly popped into his mind. And the memory was, when he was very, very young, his father was going to leave the family. And he talked to him and said, I won't be here anymore. And coincidence or not, I don't know, but he was in a very small car at the time when it was explained to him. And his father left. And he was passionate about the family. Now, you've got leaving the family, going on planes for business, going on the subway, the tube, we call it in England. But they were the things the unconscious mind was thinking, I need to keep the family together. So if you're leaving your family, you've already left the family in Italy, and now you're going to leave your family here to go away. I'm going to give you a really big fear, a phobia, because when I do that, you will not leave. But the whole point was, it was actually, the conflict was plain as you could see. It was actually keeping the family apart. And when we got to that, again, that aha moment says, well, if the positive intention is to abide by this wonderful value of keeping the family connected, we need to be safe to be able to transport the family in the UK to Italy and be there and really make this family buzz. And a very small process to find a better way of making sure he's safe and doing the best he can to keep the family together. Boom. He just disappeared. So there's some lovely examples of how things seem to be disconnected, but the positive intention needs to be honoured. So if you just, and you might say to me, well, what the hell's all this got to do with forgetting memories, forgetting old stuff? Because you see, if you throw it all away, we're trying to, dishonor, I guess. Dishonor your unconscious mind, your best friend's positive intention of trying to keep you safe or keep you connected. And that makes you, most comfortable. I love the word comfortable because it covers so many things. And so if we just try to throw everything away before we've learned and honor and not honoring the positive intention, well, things just seem to get worse, I think. So we come back to that. The basic, certainly the way I work is I'm going to keep the positive intention because I know there's always a positive intention, even if the behavior that's being exhibited right now is no longer appropriate. Fear, any negative emotion you think of, fear, anger, sadness, guilt, hurt, anything like that is not appropriate because there's a better way to behave. So what we do is we keep the intention and find a better behavior. We change the behavior because people aren't their behaviors. And every behavior has a positive intention. They're presuppositions within NLP. So the only way to do that is for the unconscious mind to take all the positive learnings and begin to use them. Use them in a way that when it understands the conflict, realizes it needs the learnings, and then it can access new ways, new behaviors, new skill sets, new positive beliefs. Everything can change. And that's why I just love using hypnosis and NLP because it works so well. It really does. So here's the thing. Now, if you've got a big issue on things like this, I really suggest you go and find a good therapist. Go one-to-one. But even if you are working one-to-one, and if you want help, by the way, on working one-to-one, you can email me, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com, and I'll give you some great advice. But it's even okay, even if you are working with one-to-one with somebody, to just muse, question this, look for the positive intention, and explore it because you're working in a positive way with your unconscious mind, not against it anymore. So here's the thing. You can maybe just stop. I love that stopping and pausing, that, and you say, maybe to find that positive intention, you ask and think about, what is this thing, this issue I'm doing, this feeling I'm having, stopping me doing? Because you tend to find, because it's such a big conflict now, and it's so opposite now, that you actually find that the things that you're finding that you're stopped doing is actually the positive intention that your unconscious mind wants to do. So if you think it's making me so scared to do this, well, I'm actually protecting you from doing that by making me feel scared, and scared is just not working anymore. So just sitting down quietly, maybe with some nice, if you want, meditation music, or just plain quiet, maybe going for a walk, because that's a great thing to do. And if you can get into a little bit of a wooded area or a little on the beach or whatever, you just walk with lovely freshness, even in the rain, and just ask, what is this stopping me doing? And if you think, what are you trying to do for me? I know you're doing something positive for me, or your intention is positive, but it's really not working because I feel uncomfortable. I feel unsafe. I feel fearful. That's not, I know what you want for me. So what do you want for me? Because as I was saying, sometimes you think, well, public speaking, I'm so scared of public speaking. But the whole point of that is, well, it's going to make you maybe a better person at work by being able to speak in public. Well, that fear's not working, is it? And it's actually in conflict with allowing you to be free and express yourself. Socializing, keeping you, we get that social phobia where we don't like going and meeting people because of something. Well, that fear is now causing you discomfort to make you feel unsafe about not doing that stuff. And when you get it right, being able to socialize and communicate and be with other people, well, isn't that the wonderful thing to do? But then you can start to think, well, what would it be like if you were to do it differently? If you were to do it, that thing that you're not doing, successful, what would it feel like? What would you need to succeed? And you can just think, well, again, go into your imagination and say to yourself, I know it's not going to happen. And if it wasn't to happen, how would it be? What a weird thing to say, isn't it? And so ideally, if I was to feel the safest, most comfortablest, most successful, whatever you want to be, I wonder what type of belief about myself that would make that so. What are the type of emotions that would support me being like that? Always being safe in those environments. What would it be like? Because if you can imagine, if it's public speaking, what would the belief be? Maybe I've got something to share. Because we're sharing. We're not telling people, we're sharing. People want to hear me. People are pleased for me. What emotions could you have? Well, it could be curious. It could be connection. It could be having calmness, connection to all your thoughts, the informations you have. What type of behaviors could you have in the way that you could just breathe in a good way, have your peripheral vision open and feeling comfortable? If it was socializing, what would a good mindset be if you were to just let go of that social phobia and actually go and socialize with a small group of people? What would it be like? What would that belief you'd have to be? Or what would that belief have to be inside you about yourself? Well, maybe it's, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm interesting. I've got lots to share. I'm a good person. What type of behaviors would you have? Well, you might be just a behavior of sharing things, maybe being a little bit vulnerable, not a lot, just enough to keep their interest. Maybe you'd be listening more. Maybe you'd be relaxed, let your body language, as they say, or your physiology be just more relaxed and open. What emotions could you have? Curiosity, maybe confidence, clarity, all those wonderful things. Happiness, because when you feel happy and you'll be behaving in that way and you've got that belief about yourself, people are going to they're going to be happy with you too. Now, what I suggest is you write a lot of that down, because when you write it down, as you know, you can always come back. But when you write it down, you are going to go through it in your mind anyway. You're going to create pictures in your mind, that internal representation. And as you do that, you're going to feel those feelings. You're going to get that belief. And you're going to work out, well, actually, that doesn't quite work. That's probably too relaxed or too open. I just want to be comfortable. What's comfortable mean? When have I been comfortable before? All these wonderful things, you just write those down. Now, the whole point of this, or part of the point of this, is because you are saying to yourself, well, if I was going to be like that, I would have this emotion, this behavior, this belief. Well, then you must have them inside you anyway. Because if you didn't have them, if you hadn't experienced them before, you would not know about them to say that would be good. Because you'll have felt it. Oh, Paul, I read about it. Yeah, but when you read about it, you feel it. Well, I saw it in a film. Yeah, but when you saw it in a film, you felt it yourself. So you felt it. There was a connection there. So I do think just write them down. Because then when you're writing things down, you're asking your unconscious mind, what can I learn from the old stuff so I can have this stuff? Which would be most appropriate? How can I get this intention in a better way? And you see, once you get that understanding, because understanding is, I guess, the learnings. Because remember, those learnings are primarily unconscious. Because if they were conscious learnings, you'd have them anyway. So we're asking your unconscious mind, well, now you know how I want to be. Now you know this is a more appropriate way to be. What can you learn from whatever created this so I can keep the intention and get and use different behaviors to make me feel comfortable, but be safe and really honor this intention. And you can even start to say, keep seeing yourself with those beliefs, those behaviors, those emotions, but make sure you see yourself with that positive intention of keeping yourself safe. Now, there's loads of hypnosis tracks I've got, and they're all at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. I'm going to give you 2 or 3 that you can maybe search for. But anyway, just go to that paulcloughonline.com/podcast, sign up, and they're all there. There's over 50 of them. Now, you've got one which was an FMQ 234, succeeding in anything. Or you've got #39, enriching your dreams. #45, finding your voice. I mean, I suggest that you actually, if you're going to look at those and listen to those hypnosis tracks, be good to listen to the podcast as well, so you get the full content of everything, and then you get to do it. Let me just give you one more thing about those hypnosis tracks so you really know how Well, how to get them and what to do. It's going to happen right now. So, the 90 seconds of hypnosis tracks. Why have I put hypnosis tracks on a separate website? Well, it's so simple really. I wanted you to have them all in one place so you can look through them all. You can find the particular one you want. I've even made them downloadable so you can put them on any of your playing devices that you prefer. You don't need Wi-Fi, you don't need the iTunes or whatever. You can put them anywhere you like. You can even burn them onto disk if you want. Where do you get them? Well, there you go. I told you it's paulcloughonline.com/podcast. If you're worried about your email address, please don't be, because they stay totally safe with me. I only use them to send you out that email and give you access. Simple as that. I send you a link, a special link, so you and only you can access those hypnosis tracks, because I want them just for you. And the other thing about this is you've taken responsibility. I don't want to make these open to everyone, just random. You have taken responsibility to listen and be part of this community of personal development. And I want to help you. I want to help you personally to get your dreams, your goals. And therefore, I'm giving you these tools, these protocols, these paradigms, whatever you want to call them, but in deep hypnosis. So just enjoy. Have more fun than you can stand with hypnosis. So that's how you do it. There's loads of stuff there. Just go through the back catalogue. There's loads of stuff here. It's all about finding the resources you need. But the question is, can I do this without working one-to-one? Of course you can. There are people so many people change that quickly just by finding information. Something happens, that aha moment. I've only suggested working one-to-one if you find the problem doesn't disappear and you need to get some help, or if you just want it to go really quickly. Some people like to just work on themselves. Awesome. That's what this podcast is all about. So yes, you can do this certainly without working on one-to-one, but I do suggest if you want to get it done quickly, or if it's a little bit big, do not put it off. Please do not put it off. Go do it. Then you can use all of these, and you can still use them, finding your voice, enriching your dream, succeeding at anything. They're all going to boost you from a different platform, a different foundation, because that will just enhance the work you're doing. Enhance the work you're doing one-to-one, and it'll probably even help the procedure. So yes, you can do it without working one-to-one. Yes, you can do it with working one. And there's so many ways you could do that. I mean, I work online. I work online doing a lot of work with people. Also do it one-to-one when we can. One-to-one, when I say one-to-one, in my clinic room here in the UK. But at the moment with lockdown, that's not quite so workable for me personally anyway. But online, they're getting brilliant results online. And obviously you've got my son Luke. Luke is in the UK. He works online. He works in one-to-one with people because he's got this lovely, very sterile, clean clinic. You can find him at cambridgehypnotherapy.co.uk, or just look for Luke Clough or Cambridge Hypnotherapy on Facebook, and then you'll get to see him there. So you can do anything like that, but this is not us. This is not just a big push for us, all this podcast. There are so many other brilliant, wonderful therapists around. I prefer NLP, hypnosis and timeline therapy as a firm foundation. But hey, there are great people around. Just look for them. But if you want some advice, or you want those contact details, let me know and I'll let you have them. You see, the whole point about some of this is one-to-one working is generally something that has grown a little bit out of hand. Maybe it's creating more problems in different areas of your life, so you get it dealt with. You can have little issues, just little ones. Now, doing everything we've said, just by sitting down quietly, thinking about the intention, because I will get a feeling. Sometimes I'm doing some writing and I get this negative feeling and I think, hey, I've just talked about or written about doing something. I suddenly got this negative feeling. And then I'll just sit and say, well, what do you want for me? Do exactly what we just talked about. What are you trying to do for me? Yeah, I get that there's a protection there, but it just doesn't feel good. I wonder how I could get it a better way. And all of a sudden my pen will start writing and tell me what. Didn't write, the pen's in my hand, by the way, just in case you thought it was woo-woo and a ghostly thing. But I just seem to get the answers when I write. That's just me personally. But you could do it just by, say, going out into nature, walking, just sitting down quietly. But I think anything you have which you want to, what you can do it on positive stuff as well. I'm really enjoying this. What's your intention for me? How can I get it even better? Because we can always make everything blooming better. And you can get it sooner than you think. You can get it better than you think. A bit like Nike, just do it. Do something. Because when you make a decision, you take responsibility to do something, your unconscious mind goes, great. Because when it understands the conflict, it just realizes we have to do something different. But sometimes it just needs a bit of oomph, a little push, a little bit of education to say, can you learn from what are the learnings we need so we can access better resources? And sometimes that's the only question you need to ask. So maybe you want to write that down. What can I learn from the old event? So when I have those learnings, how and what better resources can I just access now? And then just visualize how you want to be. Very simple. On those little things, you could do that in 15 minutes. And I can't guarantee it, but the old Cluffy guarantee sort of comes in just a little bit, about 90%-ish, that things will change there and then. Or when you look back over the week since you did it, you'll find things are different. Because that's the other thing about things. When you change, that becomes your new norm. And that's when you forget. You forget the old issues because your new norm is acting in this wonderful way. And the new norm is being safe and feeling comfortable. And the new norm is having a high self-esteem, having that confidence, not overconfidence, but having that confidence in yourself to succeed at anything, to enrich your dreams, to find and use your voice. So we've gone back to those hypnosis tracks, so how we can use them when we're in a good state, because those hypnosis tracks are not just for negative things that happen in our life. We can use them to expand what we've already got. So if we're in a good place, make it better. If we're in not such a good place, make it better. The answer is to everything. It can be better. Even if it's only a little bit better. But the next time it can be even a little bit better than that. And the next time it could be even better than that. Because as we say, whatever you think you are, you're always more. You're more than that. I do hope that made sense. I did ramble. I did have some notes, but the funny thing is they faded. So it was like, I know where I was going. I knew where I wanted to go. I trusted, and did my trust come through? Did it throw a couple of golden nuggets in? If nothing else, I just wanted to remind you and your unconscious mind, sometimes the programs that we're using, well, they're simply no longer appropriate because they're no longer working. They did back then, the very first time then you set this program in motion, and you're that younger you, it was the only thing you could do. It was the best thing you could do with the resources and the wisdom that you had and the experiences you had back then. But now when you learn from it and then add the new experiences, your new learnings, your new resources, your new beliefs, boom. So we throw away the out of date, the use by date has gone, and we start using wonderful stuff. So another thing just to remind you, everything happens for a reason. There's a reason that you have those old emotions. It's not an excuse, it's a reason, it's a positive intention. Everything is here for a reason until you learn. That's not an excuse. It's your unconscious mind doing something for a wonderful positive intention. But those feelings are there for a reason. And when you learn from them, boom. So let's just do it. And to be honest, the biggest thing is understanding the principle of conflict, understanding the principle of positive intention. I'll often find when I'm doing a consultation with a client that I explain about a conflict. I explain about your unconscious mind having a positive intention. Yes, these horrible feelings, this way you are, is trying to do something positive for you. And I'm actually talking to both their minds, their conscious and unconscious mind, because the problem was caused unconsciously. You didn't consciously decide one morning to wake up and scare the heebie-jeebies out of you, or become sad, or become grieving, or become, well, you fill in the blank. You didn't just wake up and decide that consciously. Because if you did, you just undecided to do it. And how did that work? Well, it doesn't, because you didn't decide that thing. Not consciously. It was decided unconsciously for the wonderful, most positive belief, the most wonderful and positive intention to keep you safe and comfortable. Now that intention stays, but you've got so many other wonderful resources, beliefs and behaviours that you can now use that keeps you even more safe, more comfortable, and allows you to live your life, find your voice, enhance those dreams. Oh, we're back into it again, Cluffy. Anyway, I hope I've made sense. I hope I have got you to think, ponder, muse, and your unconscious mind can decide, yeah, we're keeping the intention. I wonder what better ways I can find to honour this intention and make them feel comfortable. That's a good musing for you, the unconscious mind. Do have more fun than you can stand. I'm going to I'm going to introduce you to an older or previous episode of a podcast that might link to this. It may not, but it's just to give you an idea and remember, or if you're new to this, what our past episodes are like. So have a listen to that, and then there's a few notes about paying it forward for us, to keeping this unplugged community growing, to hopefully allow this podcast to come to the ears of more and more people. That's the intention. So we can live a life that is just comfortable, exciting, happy, and make a difference. So please don't turn off just yet. Please keep on listening. Won't be long. So before you do go, and I know your time is valuable and I respect that, just a couple of quick things. If you did want to think about working with either myself or Luke, do get in touch. You can get in touch with both of us if you wish through my email, feedback@personaldevelopmentunplugged.com. That's basically via this podcast. Or you can seek out Luke himself through cambridgehypnotherapy.co.uk. Have a look at that. Not pushing it, but the opportunity's there. If you just want to find out a little bit more, then maybe email me directly. And if you just want advice, I'll give you advice of how to do that. Have got there's one, I can't remember which the number was, but way back, I think it's hashtag 24 from memory. Hashtag 24, all about finding what a good therapist should be, what they should be offering you. If you go back and listen to that longer podcast, it gives you all the information you want as well. So, hey, that's that. If you would, and if you did enjoy this episode, and you did maybe get a golden nugget from it, please do pay it forward by sharing to not just a friend, not just every friend, but to anybody and everybody you can think of. Really, Cluffy? Yeah, it would be great if you did. Well, if you just did that with every episode, it would help grow this podcast, but also help so many other people, because there's some good stuff here. I hope you agree. There is some really good stuff here. You've also got the free hypnosis at paulcloughonline.com/podcast. Sign up there. Get over 50 free hypnosis tracks for you to download and keep. That's my gift to you. And also, if you do go to Paul Clough Online, you will notice that it's changed. Everything is on one page, so you can see all the products, and you even get a little sign in there to get a download again. Hypnosis to just bring down your anxiety, bring down your stress, just in 15 minutes. So have that with my compliments. Just enjoy. And hopefully, not quite sure when this episode is going out, but I hope to have a massive discount on all those products. So have a look there and put in the code LOCKDOWN, 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 all in lowercase. Anyway, that's enough from me. Do enjoy. Hopefully, as I say, share. Subscribe, by the way. Did you subscribe to this podcast? I'm sure you did. But if you didn't, press the subscribe button. And lastly, and not leastly, I know it's so much time I'm taking up now is if you get a chance to put a little testimonial or a little review, as they call it, on the app that you listen to this on, that would be awesome too. Just helps grow this podcast and, well, help infect everyone with good stuff. Okay, I'm off now. I'm going to leave it all to you. Oh, by the way, just before you go, here's a quick intro, an intro from way back in January 18. It's the longer podcast, hashtag 87. It's called My Armour, and it's all about the armour that we metaphorically use to hide stuff. And this is a little bit like these things we've just been talking about on this particular episode. So I thought it was quite apt. So do have a listen to this and then we'll be off. Okay? Speak to me and hear from me real soon. Here's your heads up for today's podcast. It goes on a bit, but it's something that is really important to me. And I'm sharing some real personal stuff on my own personal journey, my own work in progress. I think you'll enjoy it because I'm sure you feel the same as I do, but you've got to find out what that is by listening further. Okay? There you go. That was the briefest of briefest heads up to a longer podcast. It was hashtag 87 and it's called My Armour. Okay, so now you're about to leave. Here's the outro.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.